Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco dishing on the movies. Today we're doing episode 2 of Dark Winds, season 3.
Safi is having a bit of a tantrum today.
Oh, for God's sake.
She needs to take a time out because she's I don't know. I think that today's a bit of an off day for her. It's an on day for everyone else, but it's St. Patrick's Day, so
happy St. Patrick's Day.
that means that Safi is she's gonna act like she's I don't know.
Did everybody wear green today?
And you guys can see she's now talking to herself like a schizophrenic.
And we also had shamrock shakes too.
Yeah, Safi, say what you said earlier. What did you say earlier?
Instead of a green beer, have a shamrock shake.
No, Safi, why are you talking like you're turn yourself towards the there you go. Don't sit forwards and talk backwards hey everybody, it's me up here. I'm talking to you down there. Okay, so this episode of Dark Winds season 3, I'm gonna take the lead on this one because she's not feeling well. She's going crazy and everything, and she's got multiple personality disorder too.
For heaven's sakes, don't make up this BS.
Sometimes she says the show's good, sometimes she says it's bad.
That's not true at all.
But no, actually, I gotta say, I thought this episode was really good.
Well, you can tell they're slowing things down, that's for sure.
It was slow in a good way because then they focused on making it a good episode more.
Yeah. Instead
of having to rush things along and have a certain amount of things told per episode, like a checklist of things. It was very, very good, and it was so much better than the first episode, and it really makes me think maybe the first episode would have been good if they did a better job at reintroducing these characters, because I didn't really feel like I was reintroduced to any of them. I just felt like they just went back into things. I think that after a week, I can say that that's the big flaw, is that they're just okay, we're back into things, and it's no, you have to do that. That's what TV shows, that's a part of it, is that each season you get reintroduced to the characters. Yeah, Safi, what do you see something? Are you hallucinating? Are you hallucinating again?
It for St. Patrick's Day.
Do you see your imaginary friend?
All these shamrocks.
You see your imaginary friend, Safi?
Marco, stop doing that.
Well, what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, I thought it was. I could tell it was slowed down, and that they were really trying to concentrate on some details, which is really a big switch from other seasons where they just had to rush it right through, and in other shows where they have minimal seasons and have to rush through those too.
Yeah, now you can see the difference, right, Safi?
Yes, you sure can.
It's a very, very huge difference. Yeah. And it's maybe if other shows slowed down like this, they would be better shows. And but oh no, they can't they can't overstay their welcome because people will get mad. And that's the thing too, is that these shows have rushed now. They have had less episodes and shit. They have started rushing to the benefit of no one, because the people who complain about it, there were people who complained about Cobra Kai having more than one season. They were saying that the show was overstaying its welcome and that they were just running it into the ground. Once you see all 6 seasons, it's the fans would disagree. They love the fact that there was 6 seasons and that they got to do all the stuff that they got to do, and they're going to do more spin-off stuff and movies in the future. I guess the thing is that the people who complain about it, they just don't have to watch it. If they don't like it, then they just don't have to watch it. All the other people who love TV and love watching good stuff, they can watch Dark Winds. Or they can watch Cobra Kai. I want more. Like, to be honest, like, this show's really good. They should do more episodes. Like, instead of 9, make it 10 or 11 or 12. Like, just keep on, like, because that's what TV is. Now, we will see, maybe as it gets on and on, maybe it will rush towards the end, and then we'll say, oh, it really does need a couple more as well. Or maybe this will be the right amount for this show. Because I'm really curious as to how they got 9 episodes to begin with. Like, what was the conversation there? They were like, you know what? This season didn't do as well because we didn't get enough episodes, so fuck you. Give us more episodes.
Well, I think we said that a lot last season.
Yeah, we did.
And maybe somebody listened to the feedback.
So, where do you want to start off, Safi? Do you want? I mean, now you're in like a strange position. It's like you're. I can't even describe the position you're in.
Okay, well, we still have like a half and half episode. We have stuff that's happened in the first with Jolie Porn and that sheriff guy played by Al Martinez, and that's Sheriff Gordo. I can't. It's so dark in here.
Well, Safi, you look like you're at a picnic You look like you're on a college campus having a picnic or something. Like that's the position you look like.
And then we have the other half of the episode, which focused on what Emanuelita is doing.
Emanuelita, whatever the fuck.
Emanuelita.
The Scowler.
So let's start with what happened at the end of this last episode before this. And that is they found, there's 2 boys missing. They found one of them, and for some reason I thought they found 2 people, but they found one dead boy. Oh yeah, there's also something else.
They found a dead woman.
But they found a dead boy, and he had something in his mouth.
And a dead woman.
Huh?
There was a dead boy and a dead woman.
Well, they sure didn't say anything about it.
Right?
Okay, I didn't see anything.
I thought there were 2 people.
Well, that's what I thought, but they just talked about the boy and the thing that was in his mouth, and
an arrowhead.
But they had the Jolie Porn went to this archaeological site which had employed both of these boys who've been missing, and he told them that the one boy was dead. And that the archaeologist had come back, the head one, and he analyzed it under the microscope. And I thought it was a metal arrowhead for some reason. It looked metal to me, but it must have been chert, which is what they're usually made out of. And the chipping on it was too nice. And he said that this was made by a machine. And since he's analyzed, and he had looked at it under a microscope, he'd analyzed so many things that he knew, of course, what he was talking about. So that means it was just put under by some random person, because if it was somebody who was Dene or Navajo, it would have been more special than that. Okay, so that's one thing.
Now, okay,
what was that other thing that happened?
You skipped over that other thing, so I don't know what you were thinking there. I know that you're in a strange position, but
oh, Marco, God, would you get off my case?
It's just very strange.
Dashing too.
What do you mean?
Okay.
You mean like when you were driving? You mean like when you were driving in the other lane and you were over the line?
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Okay, Safi, why don't you go check the lasagna real quickly while
let's keep going. I told you.
Okay.
Just come on.
But, no, I'm not going to come on. You come on.
Okay, well, the episode...
No, I'm going to start.
Okay, well, then come on.
No. I'm not going to come on. I'm going to do my review. But my throat is really itchy right now. The episode starts off with... these 2 guys that are driving in a truck, and it turns out that one of them has the Emanuelita's gun, and he talks about how he was like, oh, I just went over and took her gun and I'm really cool. And it's like kind of like it was reminiscent of Fargo, where you have Steve Buscemi and he talks a lot and he's very annoying, and then you have the other bad guy and he's really silent and creepy. And so then they get to this, it seemed like a meetup area with like this other like truck, but there was nothing that happened there. There was no meetup or anything. I guess it was a setup, and the silent guy killed the talkative guy and took his gun. But
he thought he killed him.
But okay, Safi, you need to stop acting like you're some sort of like a like a fact checker for a political debate or something. I don't know what you're thinking. You know, it's giving hall monitor vibes. But so where's your hall pass, Marco?
Okay, Marco.
To check the lasagna. But he suffocates him, but he doesn't actually kill him. And I will say, I thought that was really cool because you know they show that a lot on movies and TV shows where it's like, oh, you put your hand over someone's mouth and you kill them in like 1 second, and it's like, no, it's actually really difficult to suffocate someone. And so they really did a good job at showing that, because he didn't even kill him. He just passed out. And then what he did was he pushed his truck over and he buried him in dirt.
What did that remind you of? That Monk episode where Monk and that teenage boy
The Monk episode.
Get covered up with that
that is a Monk episode.
Sand, gravel, and if it wasn't for the boys' loud radio, they wouldn't have gotten rescued. But of course, there was no rescue for this guy.
You just referenced a really mediocre Monk episode, Safi.
I liked the episode.
It was a mediocre episode.
I don't agree.
Anyways, Safi's on a bit of a... Guys, I told you. So, and I know you're wondering, well, what significance does this have? Well, you just wait until later on, because it comes full circle at the end. So I thought that the opening was actually one of the best parts of the episode, because the show really felt this episode like a real show. I think that's been an issue with this series, is that, you know, even last episode, the show has not really felt like a real TV show. It's felt like that stupid, like, or that side TV show that's like a TV show junior. And this episode really felt like really, really well done, well thought out, well constructed. The only thing I don't like is Emanuelita, because she's just the worst.
Well, she made a big mistake.
She's a Nimrod.
Marco
like
talked about her last. Well, we both talked about her last time. How she seemed inadequate. In other words, she was making mistakes and just
unprofessional. Habla Espanol, Emanuelita.
And I looked
it
up about the Border Patrol. And all of them had to have been at least proficient in Spanish. It says so. They don't exactly have to be fluent, but they have to be proficient enough to pass an exam.
Oh,
test.
God.
So they all should be able to talk to that lady and her daughter.
Emanuelita.
I just couldn't, that's what I mean. That's what I had a problem with in the last episode. And so... And I think just Manuelita has been so, you know, she's been very thorough. Like, we'll talk about what she does in this episode about her investigation. To me, how to do her job better would be to know Spanish.
Yeah. So, what's going to happen when she finds some Spanish trafficking victims, like some ones that are like, let's say that she goes into a room and there's like a bunch of like tied up like trafficking victims, and like she's like, okay, is there bad people around here? Where did you guys come? Like, she's not going to be able to talk to them at all. So they're going to be like, go, and she's going to be like, I don't understand you. I'm so sorry. I don't do my job right, but I'm a strong, independent woman who left Jolie porn, and I'm so strong and independent that I have to call him up for help because I don't know what to do.
Yeah, she does call him in this episode, but he's not there.
Yeah.
She talks to Jim Chi, but she doesn't tell him anything. But I think he suspects that she's Mrs. being there.
Well, I mean, she obviously can't handle it. She was so strong and independent, but she can't even handle like this basic assignment, which is like the most obvious like stuff that's going on, like some bad stuff that's going on there. And so what is going on is that she's spying on this ranch where she tracked down the van, the white van. And you never go in a white van, especially near Mexico. And because bad things happen in white vans, right, Safi? You would know.
I have no idea what you're talking
You
about.
You have a white van, right, Safi?
No, I don't. But anyway, this was the other part of the episode which had to do with her. And again, I just was kind of shocked how she handled herself.
Yeah.
She did this on her own, I believe.
Yeah.
To check out this ranch. Because I think the symbol, these ranches have symbols. Like let's say the Double K Ranch, or that isn't what this was, but, and so they'll have like above the sign, like to the entrance to the ranch, they'll have if it was a Double K, they would have a Double K, and they would have maybe whatever it is, like a model of a horse above it, or a cow, whatever it is that they have. And so the lady and her daughter, or the daughter, put the symbol on a piece of paper, and I guess it was of this ranch. And so she was there looking into it and spying on them, but she wasn't very well hidden.
She was literally right out in the open.
She's been standing right in front of the barns or where the vehicles were parked.
That's why I thought it was funny. They showed like a medium shot and a close-up of her doing this. I thought it was so funny because if you had done like a wide shot down at the ranch area of her on the mountain, it would have looked really, really hilarious. Like this person just openly standing right out in the open on this hill, this mountain, like just looking down on you like, ooh, what are you doing down there? What are you doing? And it's like, they would be like, especially if that's like a sex trafficking operation, like they'd see her like immediately and they'd be like, oh, who's that dumb bitch? And then actually she almost gets killed by a goat, and then the head rancher saves her. And isn't he's that actor guy?
Oh, I don't know.
He looked familiar, and he looked a lot more familiar. I'm going to look him up. He looked a lot more familiar in the trailer for next episode.
I don't know. Well, he was really nice. He wasn't crappy to her at all, but
you can tell.
He was actually very calm and.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's this guy. This guy.
Know.
That guy.
Oh yeah. I've seen him.
He looked kind of like Joe Biden, though. He looked like Joe Biden, the rancher. So
well, he was very. I mean, they aged him up, and that's a younger picture, but he looked, he looked a lot older, and he was very polite. And he said, "What are you doing here?" And she said, "Well, I don't know what she said, but she got to see. She noticed the van." And so she went right up to it, and she goes, I want to look inside. He says, do you have a warrant? No, I don't. Of course not, because she didn't tell them she was going there at all, and they probably would have had to go to a judge to get a warrant. But he's very well known and rich.
And he has a lot of say in what goes on.
Well, I mean, in the area, he still has a lot of power, political power.
Well, to me, I thought that he's kind of like I guess a better version of that BJ guy from last season,
that's
because
what it reminded me of too.
That guy sucked. That character just sucked. He was a terrible character. He didn't even make any sense at all. So this character seems to be a little bit better. And he basically takes her around and shows her, quote unquote, shows her everything, and
he opens the van up and shows the van.
And instead of really like looking in there and kind of inspecting, she's just kind of like, "Oh, there's stuff in there. That means nothing bad happened in there." Like,
I know. It was weird. I don't think she didn't have a warrant.
Yeah,
and he let her look in it, but she didn't want to go too far because she knew she could cause a problem.
It's very reminiscent of like, oh well, how did people go into John Wayne Gacy's house and not smell the smell?
Oh God.
Like that's what it was like to me. It's like, oh, like you're gonna do that type of thing. It's like Emmanuel Lita's character. She has become the worst character now on the show. Like last season, it was Joe Sleephorn because he became like Dark Joe. He became Dark Joe. And this season, it's Emmanuel Lita because she had to do the strong, independent woman thing, and it just makes her look like a Nimrod.
No, it makes her look weak.
The whole episode, too, like, especially as it gets later on, there's this part where she's back. She's going to go home, and her tire is flat, and so she's got to change the tire. And she can't even handle changing a tire. She's got to have the man do it for her.
He wanted to do it, and he pushed his...
No, she couldn't. She couldn't handle it. She's like, oh, you do it for me, because he had gloves. She didn't have any gloves.
Proper gloves.
And so she was like, oh yeah, I don't know how to do that. I'm just a girl, you know. I really don't know what to do.
She did not say that.
But that's the vibe. It's like her character's trash. I mean, she just stands there, scowls, and if she doesn't scowl, she gives this scary smile. It is very scary, her smile. It is kind of like a claymation character when she smiles.
All this personal crap, I don't know what Mark was doing.
No, the character.
But she just seems weak.
The character.
And she doesn't seem very, weak, but she just seems so like, you know, where you get up and you're out of sorts and everything you do is just not right. It's like back assward or crooked or just something. She just can't seem to get it right. And these mistakes that she's making, I mean, she didn't cause herself to have a flat tire. But the thing about just showing up at that ranch and being so visible like she was, to me, that's a mistake. He could have been a jackass. He could have called her boss.
Yeah.
And
which he probably will do in a future episode.
Yeah, because there's just so many things that and she just doesn't seem on her game.
Yeah.
And that's bad. You know, that's what Marco is really trying to say.
No, also...
because last season, Joe Leaphorn was not Joe Leaphorn. He
was
some weirdo who...
he was the Fargo character.
Well, yeah, he had some of that Fargo in him. He turned into a Mr. Retribution guy. But now this season, I guess the focus is on her and her.
Well, so far, I mean
so far.
The second episode was very Emmanuel Lita forward.
Yeah.
And for better or for worse, and then I'm trying to think, is there anything else with her?
She checked on. Whenever trucks have to go through a wait.
Oh yeah,
stop,
the last part, yeah.
And she asked she asked somebody at the office about the trucks that go through these wait stops. You know, do they get checked? Did they ever check their contents? Do they ever really make sure that weight is what it's supposed to be? And so she checked this fuel. It was a fuel truck, right? And guess who was in the truck with the driver?
It was the bad guy.
It was that bad guy they showed at the beginning of the episode.
And so I thought that was the best part because that's like classic suspense. And it was really cool how everything came full circle. In fact, it reminded me of like Better Call Saul. You know, that's something that like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, stuff that like those shows did a lot, is that they would introduce something at the beginning of the episode, and then at the end you would understand like why they did that. Like when they showed the the teddy bear in the pool, and then in Breaking Bad, and then they reveal the plane crashing stuff, and so that's what that reminded me of. I thought that was really good. The only thing about it that kind of ruined it was Emanuelita, because she
climbs up to the. She does climb up to the top of the truck, and this is like a fuel truck or something, and they unscrews the little just a regular lid, and looks at, you could see there's fuel in there or whatever. I mean, if there's liquid in there, and so she puts the top back, and then she had checked the records. The written records, the document that came, they were filled out at the truck weight station. So she did all that, and then, but she did think it was odd that there was this other guy with him.
Yeah.
And she notes that, and the scene from next week. Didn't she bring that up?
Well, let's not talk about next week.
Well, I don't know much of anything else, but she did note it. That she thought that was odd.
Well, I would say too, like, it was odd how both the drivers got out with her.
Oh, I know. I was kind of wondering if anything was going to happen, but I thought it was way too soon.
Yeah, because like
bad to happen.
Both drivers really didn't need to go out and watch her look at the truck, so that was very, very clearly something was going on there. But actually, I would say probably. Maybe they take the oil, and then after they take the oil wherever they take it, then they bring back women or something like that. I don't know.
Well, she looked all around the truck like it looked like there were places to put other stuff, which I didn't get.
Well, she also tapped it.
Yeah.
She tapped it, and so I don't know. But you never know, and so Safi loves that type of stuff. She researches it all the time. If she had a second YouTube channel, it would be just talking about
Marco, come on.
The history of sex trafficking. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, the other storyline is with Joe Sleephorn and Jim Chung Chi. And Jim Chung Chi, he I gotta say it, like, don't ever get that haircut again. Because he looks really bad with that haircut. Like, he looks kind of like Jim Jones, but gay. And Jim Jones was kind of gay, so that says something. Like, the haircut was just bad. That's what I'm saying. It's a bad haircut. It's too short. It looks like the new haircut that Elon just got, where it's something about it. It's like it makes his head look rounder. And when you have a certain type of head, you need to get specific haircuts to complement the shape of your head. Yeah. And when you have a head like that, you don't want to get a haircut that makes your head look rounder and look like bigger like that. But the haircut, it's bad. So yeah, I don't know. Safi, talk about that stuff, because
Jim Chi knows the father of one of these boys. He went to school with him.
Yeah.
And they didn't get along. And, but it's been years, but there's still, what it's like if you've been to high school.
In a small town.
I don't even want to say anything else. Because somebody from high school has started to watch the channel, or listen to our channel. Hello, Paula. And, anyway. But they don't get along. And Jim Chi thinks that the father's lying, and he's actually packing up his truck, and he says, "What are you doing? You know where your son is." And he said, "Look, I don't want anything bad to happen to him, and you're worried about him. That's why you want to go check on him." And he said, "Do you know where he is?" And so he thinks he knows where he is. So anyway, Jim Chi and Joe Leaphorn go with this guy, and they go to this cabin where the guy thought that maybe his son was. And what happens, Marco? Well,
the shorty goes in there.
That's what his name is.
And then he gets fucked up or something, and then Joe Sleephorn goes in after him, and then the monster is in there, and Joe, I think, tries to shoot it, and he gets clawed, and he says, "It's definitely real." And again, that just felt like, honestly, to me, the people making the show, they're like, we gotta convince the audience it's real now.
I don't believe it.
But I will also say, Safi forgot a big thing, is that before they did arrest him and question him because they found a weapon in his barn. But I thought what was interesting, and they showed it for next week too, Joe is starting to have like hallucinations all the time of like all these ants everywhere or something, and so...
No, I think he saw that for real, because that's where the weapon was. All the ants were...
Oh, but no, because they showed next week he sees ants all in the sink, which, we see that a lot in the summer, though, so who knows?
Yeah, we have a problem with some kind of weird little tiny... I call them counterbugs, I don't know.
Yeah, they're like little tiny ants, and... They come in and Safi, and they just come in like in armies, and Safi just smushes them and is like, oh, I gotta get more. And
cleaning and killing and cleaning and killing. And
God, Safi, you're like a serial killer.
Everything has to be perfectly, and it doesn't matter. They just appear out of the wall behind the counter.
And then they leave for the winter. They leave you alone.
So they'll be back because the other kind of regular ant's been showing up, but now it's like 35. Tonight's supposed to be like 35 degrees, so I don't think they'll be.
It's just another reason I like the winter, and I prefer the winter and the fall. Because in the winter and fall, you don't have to worry about that. Anyways, I think Shorty gets killed by the monster.
I don't know if I thought he was dead. But they don't really.
I don't know.
It's very loose at the end with that.
I would give the episode a B+. I think that my main flaw, besides Emanuelita sucking really badly, at least she did smile. She did smile, and you saw why she doesn't, because she looks like straight out of that movie Monster House.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how it all comes together, because what's happening down where she is linked up to what's happening up where Joe Leaphorn and Jim Chi are.
No, but my big flaw is that I was having trouble believing that Jim Chi grew up with that other actor.
Oh, I know. Well, they show a picture of them. They were on a track team or something, right?
Yeah, but it's
not a very good picture.
It's not very believable, and I think that, if anything, they should have had another scene to help us like see that dynamic more, because I just didn't believe that they grew up together at all, and I felt like that was the only flaw of the episode. It was a very, very good episode. It was so much better than last week, and hopefully the lasagna isn't destroyed.
Oh, I do want to mention, too, the woman playing the FBI agent is Jenna Elfman.
Who's that?
From Friends. She's one of the Friends characters.
Oh, well,
so it's
Safi...
funny that Ross was in Goosebumps this season, this new season that they came out with on another network.
Friends is gay.
And Jenna Elfman.
Friends suck. Friends sucks.
Was on it, too.
I hate Friends.
Well, I don't like it either.
I hate it.
My parents loved it.
Oh.
My son loves it.
Oh.
I even got him a T-shirt or something for his birthday or for Christmas.
Yeah, we did the trivia game back in like December or whatever, and for our apartment, and they had a Friends question, and it's like I don't fucking know.
I couldn't answer it.
Fuck Friends.
I was never a fan of it, but I know my parents, they watched it every single night. And it's syndication, where it would be on like at 5 o'clock or something.
That's like a red flag, like for people like in general. Like, do you like Friends? Yes. Okay, you're weird. You're a weirdo.
A lot of people liked that. It was a very popular show.
Well, a lot of people liked Hitler too, and look what happened with that.
Comparing Friends to Hitler.
Yeah, I am. It's just as bad, if not worse.
Oh. Give me a
I'm just kidding. It'd be just as bad.
Just kidding, okay? Not fun to kid about something like that.
Why?
At this moment in time.
Why?
And you know why.
It's freedom of speech.
Yeah, let's talk about that too.
Safi, just...
Okay, let's not go ahead.
Get off of your high horse. This is a Dark Winds review.
Okay, but anyway, I thought it was a really good episode, too. This thing with Jill Leaphorn, I don't know. I think because he went so much against his own nature, remember, I've read all the books.
Well, they're really doing damage control now with his character. Like, they're pulling back hardcore on how he was last season. I think it's a good thing. It's like, good job, because that character last season, we did not want to see that character on the show. I don't think
anybody else did either who are a fan of the books. It's just isn't him. And it really, he's supposed to be the steady, smart, he's supposed to see things and that the others don't pick up on because they're just not as careful as he is.
And because of that doesn't mean he can't have badass moments and he can't be like a really cool character. It just means that like they have to write the moments to be believable for him. It would be like, we watch Daredevil will be on like tomorrow night or whatever, and Daredevil, like they're not going to have a scene where Daredevil plays dress up. Like that wouldn't make sense for his character. Like, oh, you see Daredevil dressing up in dresses or something. Like that wouldn't make sense for the character. But maybe you could see him dressing up in different suits for some reason. Like maybe he would disguise, like he'd have like a superhero suit inside a suit. I don't know, but like that's what I mean. And like, so yeah.
And I just think that
Joe Sleephorn.
That all these things, like he's having nightmares, he's having hallucinations, which I don't know. Some of those might be real. Like there might be somebody dressed up, like Marco was saying last week, a Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, that's what I think is going on.
And but he feels so much guilt about what he did the last season that it's caught up with him. So that's why he's acting all these weird things.
And there's that FBI woman, and his wife invited her to dinner.
Yeah. And he's like, why'd you do that?
Oh, that's
the nice thing to do.
I thought that was a good scene because that's what his character was like. Like if that was his character from last season, he would have been like, "Why did you do that?" But no, he's just like, "Why did you do that?"
She brought his lunch to him.
Yeah.
And they had lunch together.
It's like Andy
outside.
Griffith and Aunt Bee.
It was really neat.
Yeah.
And that's the way
cool.
their relationship was in the books.
Yeah. Well, Safi, what book is this anyway?
I don't know what book this is, and I'm going to look it up after.
Well, you better.
I did see something, but it went by so fast, and then we went door dashing today. I haven't gotten a chance to. I looked up other stuff, but I didn't get to look this fact up. I think it's very loose, but it seems familiar to me. So,
well,
that's it. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up.
Did you ever grade it?
Well, I give it a B+ too.
Okay, copying.
I just don't like what Emmanuel Leach. I thought it was very unprofessional and dangerous, as a matter of fact, because that guy may not have been so nice. She could have been fired, I think, by being so out in the open, wanting to look into that van, and not having a warrant. And I think she could have been fired.
Yeah.
And so I don't like that. I don't think she would have done that. Based on how she is portrayed in the books, I don't think she ever would have done something like that. So, Anyway, that's it. So, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.